So it was really interesting. Most of you know, and if you haven't, I've met everybody, but there's some new faces, and I want to welcome you guys. We also want to gift you with a welcome packet so that you can learn more about what we do in the community, what our vision is, what our mission is, what our purpose is. We're about to go into planning stages for 2014, having this new space. I don't know, previous to this space, we were limited in our hours of what we were able to do, and now we are unlimited. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week use. So there's lots of fun to be had, lots of joy to be had, lots of classes to be unleashed coming up soon. But I want to welcome you, and most of you know that I was gone last week on vacation, and it was very interesting because, you know, as you prepare to go on vacation and kind of go off the grid, in lack of better terms, I guess, you know, you have all this preparation that you're doing to get there. And I got 2 phone calls the week that I got, you know, was getting ready to, I left on a Wednesday morning at we left at 4 o'clock. But I got a call, 2 calls, I guess one Monday and one Tuesday, had to be. And the question was, well, Kim, I want to know what you do for fun. And it came from 2 different people, and it was, I mean, honestly, do you guys have people ask you that? No. I normally don't either, so I was really surprised by that question. And it took me by surprise because I couldn't answer it. I couldn't answer the question. You know, everything has been about teaching classes and taking care of the center and just doing whatever, how Spirit's, you know, working in my life. I'm like, couldn't answer the question. That was really interesting. So, being that today we're talking about joy, I have to ask them, you know, I'm going to ask you the same question. What do you do for joy? Because you know, unless Spirit wouldn't have brought that question to my life, I wouldn't have known that, oh my gosh, you are working, you know, so much percentage of your time you're doing. What do you do for fun? I'm like, You know, so that I want to ask you that question. You know, we're talking about joy today, and joy is not something that you can, you know, you can't walk into McDonald's and get a cup of joy. If you could, I think they'd have a long line, right?
It's called a frappe.
Oh, okay. But it's not something you can buy. It's not something that you can, so where does joy come from? How often do we look for joyful moments to fill us up? You know, for that instantaneous, oh, I'm joyful because of this. I'm joyful because of that. What about being joyful just to be joyful? You know, we all have daily tasks and lives that we're living and things that we're doing that, you know, we would probably set to the wayside if we had a bank account full of money. You know, we would choose something different. But how can we be in the world and do our daily stuff and be joyful about it? So we have that opportunity. This was I have to share this story with you because it really struck me. We're on this boat. We go snorkeling. And we go on this tour boat, and it's a 14-foot inflatable boat. And there's probably about, I don't know, 25 people on this boat. Yeah. Yeah, 14-foot, but yeah. It's like, to me, it was like a big giant dinghy. I mean, I was like, I don't know that I even call that a boat, but anyway, that's what we took out there. Anyway, you know, most of it's all couples. So Kurt and I are kind of, for whatever reason, we ended up in the front of the boat. And let me tell you, the front of the boat is the most wild part of the boat to be on, hitting them waves. I was holding on death grip in his shorts because I thought I hit air, off my seat, and I thought, man, I'm gonna go flying. But at the same time, I'm panicking. I'm looking around at other people, and they're like, the guy on the other couple sitting in the front of the boat, he's laying back like he's ready to take a nap, and I thought, okay, what's the right picture here? But the point of the story was that as the day went on and we went on this tour, you snorkel, you get on the boat, you get off the boat, you go have lunch, you do this, you do that. This one woman who was in front with us, how could I say this and be politically correct? I mean, you're in Mexico, you're on vacation. You're on a boat in the middle of the ocean having a ball. What could possibly be wrong in that moment? Let me just tell you that she found everything wrong times 10. And it was just amazing to me. And I kept thinking about that, and I kept thinking about that, and I thought, joy is what you make it. In the same way that life is what you make it, but joy is what you make it. I mean, if you want to have the typical Monday that we've all been taught Mondays may mean, then yeah, okay, it's Monday again, the holiday's over, darn it, that kind of thing. Or we can put some joy and say, this is going to be the best Monday I've ever had. But it was just amazing to me how she was just so disgruntled in the middle of this pristine, beautiful ocean and snorkeling and seeing these. And it was her conversation all by herself. It wasn't like they were having a rift it was all derived by her own, because all of a sudden she just shoot out the mouth and nobody was even talking to her, and it was crazy. It was very interesting. The other thing that I noticed was, you're at a resort that holds 900 people. And you walk from building to building to building to go to all these different places. So you're doing tons of walking. And what's really neat about it is when you're walking down these paths, you're seeing people from Europe, from Asia, from Australia, from Canada, all over the world. You could literally take 10 steps and hear 17 different languages, different financial, obviously, statures. You could see middle class, you could see upper class, you could see everything. It was amazing. But what was really interesting as you're walking down the path, just like you do in Arkansas, if you drive down a country road, somebody waves at you, or you walk into the store and they hold the door open. Arkansas is very unique because I'll tell you guys, I'm from a place where that stuff never happened. I didn't know what that was like until I moved here. I mean, there was no way anybody would hold the door open to you, let alone say good morning. I mean, that was non-existent where I was raised. So when you walk down this path, some people would do the Arkansas thing and they'd say hello. They'd say good morning. They'd say something. And if you stopped with a husband and a wife or another couple, I was noticing the women their eyes would gaze at me, and it would go from the top of my head to the tips of my toes. They would look at my makeup. They would look at your fingernails. They would look at your dress. They would look all the way, sizing you up and sizing you down. The men didn't do that. The men didn't do that. And then there were other women who didn't do that. Their eyes never left your eyes. So when I think about joy and I think about life, I think about how many times Spirit, God, universe, something is happening in our life and we're sizing it up and down. We're judging it. We're sizing it up and we're sizing it down. We're labeling what's happening. We're going, this situation happened. I've got to borrow a friend's car for a week because mine's in the shop or whatever. And we're always judging. It's bad, it's good, it's bad, it's good. What happens when we stop judging? What happens when we stop sizing it up and sizing it down mentally? And know and go to the truth to know that the universe is ever gifting us. What if that would be the perspective that we had in every situation? That we talked about this a lot for the last month, that nothing has any meaning unless we give it meaning. So it's through that judgment that we put our emotions on it, we put our feelings on it, we've put our handprint on it to say it's good or bad, black or white, wrong or right or whatever. We've put our judgment on it. But what happens when we don't judge? What happens when we just let it be something more? What happens if we don't put any, we just stay detached and go, we allow spirit to come through and maneuver in that situation? If, we always ever have the choice to choose joy, even in circumstances that are poopy. Right? We can make them less poopier. we can make them less stinky in our lives by saying, wait a minute, I'm not going to go there. Because think about this. If we have a situation that is challenging us, mentally, financially, spiritually, if we have a situation challenging us, how does that situation change when we trust that the universe is ever gifting us and that it's okay? Now, here's the beauty of spiritual life, is that we're working with an invisible principle. We're working with an invisible presence. So we don't get to know the how, but it's our job to trust that process. I mean, it'd be like, hey, I'm in the airport. We're coming home. We missed our connecting flight. I mean, I could see a lot of people getting very excited about that. How can we sit back and choose joy? And it maybe it's that connecting flight that we missed, that we ended up meeting a person that we hadn't seen in 20 years because we missed that flight. But in that judgment and then that labeling and in that thing that we do, it's like a false safety net. It's not even, I guess it keeps us comfortable, makes us feel like we're in control, but it's a false control. Because every moment we don't know what's going to happen in the next moment. We think we do. That's how our ego and our mind becomes comfortable, is because we think we know everything, right? Don't we? Don't we think we've got it figured out?
One of the worst habits we have is by having expectations. Expectations are the worst thing to have. That's where by having with expectations of another person, you wouldn't be happy. You're expecting too much out of the other person, even out of yourself. So if you let the expectations go, the joy comes in.
Well, absolutely, and it's that people are only going to be able to do what they're able to do. Not everybody's going to be able to meet us at this consciousness, at the truth, at the wholeness and the perfection that we spiritually live our lives from. That's what we do in this community. And there's a lot of different religions and a lot of different belief systems that they know that. Everybody knows that deep in your heart. It's all about love. It's all about being, brotherly, sisterly love, that we're all family. Everybody knows that at the deep of their heart, at the depth of their heart. There's no one that doesn't know that. But it's the point of, are they living it? Are they walking their talk, or are they just talking? There's a big difference. So, but it's understanding that Yeah, there's people that may not, I mean, there were times in my life that I could absolutely say that I felt I was afraid of other people. I was afraid of relationships. I didn't believe in men. I was scared to death to have a relationship with a man because I thought they were all this, I had a list. I had a list of what I thought they were, and that list and that reality changed in my life when I changed my list. Right? Change your thinking, change your life. I made a personal habit when I was in my younger years to not have a whole lot of friends. I didn't. I had a very selective few, and I liked it that way because it made it safe for me. I was afraid. And now I don't live my life that way. And now I'm like, I can't, it's amazing. It's amazing. The only one that, I was keeping myself from the universe gifting me that love because I was seeing fear around close relationships. I was seeing fear around any kind of relationship, honestly. It wasn't even just close. So it's the point to know that we can always choose joy, but when a situation is presented to us, how can we value the infinite substance and absolute supply of good of God if we've got our little dipping fingers all over it? You can't. Because we've already labeled it, oh, I don't have this. Oh, that's not going to happen. Oh my gosh. Literally, we talked about the wall coming down. We talked about the wall coming down, and we're like, okay, well, here, in the human realm, we got to plan, we got to plot, we got to, do some fundraising, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. Literally, 3 days later, the wall's down and it's done.
You were talking about months and months ahead.
Yeah.
We'll knock down the wall.
It took my breath away. It literally took my breath away. So when we talk about joy, the Dalai Lama has got a quote. And I promise you I'll find it here in a second.
While you're looking for the quote, wouldn't joy, we spend our time disciplining our thoughts, learning to think affirmatively. And when you accomplish that, and when your actions become fluent, and your cause and effect become fluent. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Your thought, you get the thinking right, and then your actions become right, and the cause and effects become right. Would that not be a source of joy?
Well, it is. It sounds. Yeah.
More complicated than it.
It's really, that's what I love about all this, is it's very simple. It's that when we put all of our thoughts on the glory of God, the peace of God, the love of God, that's what you'll get. It's called a mental equivalent. If you believe in lack and limitation and you've struggled your whole entire life and you don't know any different, the only thing that's going to get you out of that reality is to change your thinking about it, is to allow something new to come into your life. Years ago, when I'd received tax money, the big tax thing at the end of the year, my husband would how would I say this? My husband would point out to me that the fact that when I'd receive that check, I would freak out because I didn't know what to do. And it was all paying money, all paying bills. It was already spent. But having that much money in my hand at one time freaked me out. And I couldn't deal with it well. So the comfort level in the finances, the comfort level in being involved in an intimate relationship, the comfort level in being able to create joy wherever you go, it's completely up to each of us to choose it. And it's not a Pollyanna, it's not a Pollyanna thing, but it starts out that way. It starts out that way because you're learning to increase your circle of joy within your life. So if your circle has been tightly around you and you want to expand that circle out, your ego's going to play with you a little bit and go, oh, that can't be true. I can see joy in all of your relationships, but not with this person over here. That'll never happen. Well, that's your ego. So you learn to get to know yourself as, where is this voice coming from? Because it's when it's your intuition speaking to you, when it's God speaking to you, it will bloom, it will get bigger, it will bring a smile to your face, it will enlarge your circle. Spirit will never say, no, you can't have that. It's us that says, no, you can't have that. How is that going to be possible? So it's getting out of, we're getting out of our comfort zone and creating a bigger comfort zone of joy. And saying, oh my gosh, yes, I can. Yes, I can. And letting the universe gift. I'm still trying to find this quote. Miracles, transformation, and growth often doesn't happen unless we allow a God moment to happen. We've got to take our hands off the wheel and let go, because we will be challenged to see abundant finances in a situation where we don't know how in the world this is going to come through. We may be receiving a diagnosis from a doctor, or maybe we've received a diagnosis. And then we think, oh my God, how am I going to live my life? What do I do now? Do I receive the death sentence of what this doctor's saying, or do I choose something different? But it's in those God moments that's when we're being called to allow God to be God within our life. If our hands are all over it and we're trying to, oh, I'm going to work a second job because I've got to pay for this, and I've got to sell my clothes out of my closet so I can do this or do this. Our hands are all over it. We're not even letting God come through. We're not even letting Spirit come through. We're not trusting in that divine process to say, God's got my back, it's okay. And allow the joy and let go and let God and allow the joy to come through that situation. Allow it's like allow God to be God bigger in your life, to live in the kingdom of heaven every day. We have that choice. Let go. And then know that when you're being moved into a new realm of possibility, that you live in infinite possibility. Live in the possibility, not in the restriction or the constriction. Live in the possibility and say, here, Spirit, I don't know how this is going to happen, but I'm giving it to you, and I know it's done. So you live at the end of it. You live at the end of it as if it's already done. So the car repair, the vacation, the relationship that is giving you stress and anxiety, you live on the other end of it as if it's already done, and sit in that emotion of, what does it feel like to have that done? What does it sit and feel like to take that trip? That dream trip that you never thought you could take? Whatever it is. Because we're magnetically, it's our vibration that we become the cause. We are the cause in our life. God is the cause in our life. So if we give everything to Spirit and just say, okay, it's okay, and we'll be intuitively moved what the next divine right thing is to do, then we can go through these moments that seem tragic, that give us stress, that bring us anxiety, that the person that we're running down the hall away from, we can see love around it and choose something different. And sometimes it takes a little bit, it takes practice. It takes practice to see joy, but it's the point that as a spiritually empowered person, we wouldn't be here if we weren't called to do things differently than the world is showing us. People are going Christmas shopping with taser guns because they want that TV. The news is horrific of what you could hear about Black Friday shopping. people fist fighting, police. The police are at Walmart, at every Walmart across the country because people are duking it out over a material object.
And the kid would rather have a box that come in.
Yeah. You know, but that's, you know, I don't know. We choose something different simply by choosing something different, changing your thinking and changing your life. Your world will change because it's principle. It always ever works. It always ever works. 2 + 2 will always be 4. So whatever you put out there, it will always come back to you. It will always come back to you. So we have the opportunity. You know, I was sitting here wondering, cavemans and Indians, think about the day when there were, you know, caveman days, Indian days. Do you think they sat around the campfire and worried? Did they? Yeah. Well, yeah, the growl that they were hearing around the corner maybe. But yeah, I mean, did they, you know, I wondered that. I was doing research about joy, and I thought, when did worry come into existence? You know, when did people really get deeply rooted in worry and concern and you know, when you research New Thought and you go back to the beginning of when New Thought came about, part of the reason why New Thought came about because there were people who were sick who weren't being cured by doctors. Guess what they got cured by? Saying affirmations and knowing the truth. When we allow and know that we are truly divine beings, that we are whole, perfect, and complete, that we are rich materially and mentally, physically, spiritually, rich in every way, that becomes the cause of our life. Everything comes from that fertile place. All we have to simply do is choose it. And yeah, we need to be persistent. We need to be a little spiritually stubborn. That's not a bad thing. But it takes consistency. Because as you experience and grow and transform into a new idea for your life or a new vision or a new possibility, you'll become comfortable. And when that growth process becomes comfortable, and you grow and you grow and you grow and you grow and you grow, and every bit of it was joy, that's freedom. And I have to say that I have been so blessed to experience that in my life and with others. What's there to be afraid of? It's all man-made. It's all man-made. It's not God-made. And it's the true illusion that we're separate from, something we desire, something that we require, something that is, you know, it's something being outside of ourselves. It's external. The moment we give that external thing power, we've just given it power. We've given it more power than the divine power that is within each of us. And there's times where it shakes you to your knees. And there's times where it tickles you in joy. But it's the point that you're not stagnant, you're not stopped, you're not restricted, you're not constricted. And you kind of like, that's interesting. You know, something comes up and you go, oh, that's interesting. You're not putting any emotion on it. You're not giving something external power outside of you. Oh, that's interesting. No judgment, no labeling, no right, no wrong. That's interesting. And then that percolation of just trusting. It's simply just trusting. Okay. I'm on the joy train. My life, my vision for my life is to live on the joy train. And that becomes cause, and then everything else will follow suit with it. So what do you think? Do you like the joy train?
Yeah.
Are you ready for more of it?
Yes.
I am too. I am too. Today is the first day of Advent. Advent is more of a Catholic-based tradition. There's Advent means the coming. So it's the coming of Christ. And it's all the first Sunday, second Sunday, third Sunday before, as we come into Christmas. So today is the first Advent, which means something's coming. We stand in preparation for a new light of winter solstice on 12/21. And this is from Risa in the Free Weekly. Standing with Mary, the mother of the world, pregnant with the new consciousness, the new light of the world, to be birthed at winter solstice, presented to the world at midnight Christmas morning. What would your life be like if you lived every day like that? When you awoke, every day you knew something new was being birthed. I thought about this very deeply. What makes a vacation a vacation? Because you have no responsibilities? Because you have nothing to do? Because you get to unplug? How can we make vacation, that relaxation, that breath, that freedom, that peace, that only seems to only come with that word?
Vacation.
Even if it's just for a minute, how about a meditation or an affirmation of a vacation minute? You know, to say an affirmation at your desk or say an affirmation at lunch and breathe in, again, just like choosing joy, that freedom and that liberation that we desire, it's within us to create it. It's with us to be cause with it. So that would be your invitation this week is, how to create more joy in your life, how to create mini vacations in every day that you have. Whether you're buying yourself a treat at lunch, gifting yourself. If we're not gifting ourselves with joy, with happiness, with fun, the universe is not going to do it back because we're not leading the way. Right? We've got to do it first. We've got to have this personal relationship with joy and fun within our self-relationship so that Spirit can say, oh, look at what she's doing now. And follow suit. Because it is whatever we're thinking, whatever we're doing, if we're going to attract more of it. So we have that, the universe is ever gifting us. Allow it to gift you in every situation. Not judging, not labeling, not condemning, not restricting, nothing, and going, thank you, God. Because in this opportunity that has shaken me to the core of my knees, we get to witness the glory of God. And if that situation didn't happen to us, didn't challenge us, didn't bring us to that space, we'd miss the whole ride. We'd miss the whole ride. We'd miss the whole point. So it's trusting and knowing that it's happy, that it's joyous, that it's more love of the invisible, of the trusting, of the knowing, of the communion and union, knowing that we are each immersed in it always. I am lit up. Goosebumps.
You're on fire.
Wow. We are not separate from. We are a part of it as it is a part of us. And so it is.